Hello students, I am Pinky Chatterjee. I will be your friend, philosopher and guide on your way towards learning English. Through Vedantu, I want to create a space where we both get to learn from each other so that we can make this journey fun, creative, engaging and fruitful. I want to become a teacher because from a young age I've been teaching people. My first experience of teaching comes when there was a maid in our house who was around 20 or 18 years of age. She was not literate. So I thought that I really wanted to teach her because I thought that what if someone tries to take advantage of her in unfair ways. So I have been teaching since then. I was very young at that point of time. I was only in standard 2, but whatever little I knew, I tried to impart in her. Like I taught her alphabets and I taught her certain mathematical things. And since then, I have been engaging in teaching when I was about 16 during after I passed my class 10, like my boards. So I've been teaching since then, on and off. In the middle, like in my during my masters, I could not teach much because I could not get a lot of time. But then after that, I did my B.Ed, and then I interned in a school where I taught as well. I want to become a teacher because I feel like teachers have a big responsibility in becoming agents, in bringing changes through small acts that they might bring about. Like through small acts of inspiring someone or hearing someone else out, we can bring a lot of changes in this world. And I want to become a very small part of that journey. So today, I would be looking forward to teaching you a poem. Not really teaching, I would really like to discuss about this poem because as I've already mentioned, that I would really like to engage with you more than I would like to teach you, because that way you would be able to grasp the concepts better and I would also be able to make you understand better. Okay, so the poem that I've chosen to discuss is The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Lord Tennyson was an English poet who was known for many beautiful works that he has written, like Ulysses and others. He was one of those Victorian poets who brought about the elements of that period, of the Victorian period, through his poems. I mean, he incorporated those elements so that we get to know about the society, the kind of people, and the belief system that they had during that time. I chose this poem because I feel like this is a very interesting poem in the fact that this poem talks about war. I would like to read out the first stanza so that you also get to know what this poem is about, so that you get a little insight about this poem. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward, the light brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. So, from this first stanza, you get to know that this poem is about war. Okay, and through this poem, Lord Tennyson is talking about the Crimean War, which was fought between the English and the Russians and the Cossacks. So, the English soldiers, 600 English soldiers, took part in this war, and they went to this war and they followed the command of a leader who gave a wrong instruction. The Cossacks and the Russians had really advanced technology. They had guns, whereas the British soldiers only rode on horses. So it was really difficult for them to fight the Russians. Still, they chose to follow the commander or the leader who was in charge of this whole war. In the beginning, I told you that this poem is very interesting because we see that Lord Tennyson glorifies war. We have to understand that those poets who wrote about war, they followed two strain of thoughts. On the one hand, there were poets who felt that war was a waste, because it brought about a lot of loss and destruction and suffering. Whereas there were other poets who glorified war, who felt like, those who sacrificed their lives, they were brave and valiant because they sacrificed their lives for their country, for bringing glory to their country. And Lord Tennyson here glorifies war because through this poem, he tries to remember the 600 soldiers who went to this war. But at the same time, through the use of his language in the poem, we see that he's also, in a way, trying to criticize war. As we read the next few stanzas, we would be able to understand why I am mentioning this. Forward the light brigade! Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why. Theirs but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. So, as I mentioned, that once the instruction came from the commander, these 600 soldiers, they rode, to fight off the Russians and the Cossacks. So they followed that one instruction that was given to them, and they did not even think for once about their own lives and about the decision itself, whether it was correct or not. So don't you think that through this language, Tennyson is trying to criticize that commander or the dictums that are related to wars, as in only one or two people are in charge of war, some leader or some political leader or some president or prime minister who take this decision. But then what about the rest? Do we think about the rest? Do we think about the kind of suffering it brings for the country, for the soldiers, for their families? We do not. So in a way, I think that Lord Tennyson also criticizes war. Now, let us read the later stanzas. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them. Valleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. Boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. And we would also see that he is continuously referring to the valley, the place that they went, as the valley of death. He is trying to compare the valley as an agent of death, because that is where all the soldiers are going to lose their lives. And we see that, rode the 600, this one line has been emphasized and re-emphasized in all the stanzas. This is because, as I discussed before, the poet wants us to remember those soldiers who went to this war and sacrificed their life. Thank you very much.